Now, at some point or another, everyone is going to need to replace a dryer vent hose like this one right here. So in this video, I'm going to show you exactly what materials you should be buying. And then based on those materials, I'm going to show you some techniques that almost no homeowners know about when they're doing this, because if you're not doing this properly, this very easy install can actually turn into a very difficult and long install. And based on all those things, it can mean the difference between your dryer running efficiently or not running efficiently and taking a lot longer for your dryer to dry your clothes. So let's go ahead and jump right in. All right, so as you can see, this is where my dryer vent is. Mine actually goes up through that pipe, up through the wall, all the way up and through the roof. For most people, yours is going to probably go through your wall. Usually, a lot of times they put these on an exterior wall so that your pipe is actually going straight through the wall out to the outside. But of course, everybody's is going to be different, and there are quite a few people that are in the same situation that I am, where we have a long pipe that is going all the way up to the roof. And then here is my duct hose, and of course it's the same on the other side as well. So you have one side that gets attached to where the dryer vent is, and then of course another side that then gets hooked up to the dryer itself. But here is what I see most people do, and it's not necessarily a mistake, but it can make things a lot more difficult, take you a lot longer to do this. If you don't have much room to move around, this installation, as easy as it is, can actually be a giant pain. So what I'll see most people do is they'll take their new dryer hose and they'll just go to their dryer vent and they'll try to push it over the dryer vent itself, which sometimes that can be done very easily. But there are also plenty of other times where you try and put this over it and it doesn't want to fit over it. And it's because these can be so flimsy that you have a hard time getting it to go over the entire circumference of the dryer vent. And not just for the dryer vent, but also for your exhaust coming out of your dryer, which I'll show you that here in just a moment. Now, this particular dryer vent is pretty rigid, so I would not have a terribly hard time getting this to go over my dryer vent here. But there are a lot of other vent hoses that, while they look like this, they're a lot more flimsy. And especially in those cases, that's where you might notice you're having a harder time getting them to either go over the dryer vent or over the dryer exhaust. Here is a real quick tip and a secret that a lot of people don't know about when it comes to doing these, that are going to make all of your installs not only easier but faster and last a lot longer. Because the people that originally installed this one, they did not do what I'm about to show you here in just a moment, and there was a pretty good sized hole in my vent hose, which was just allowing for air and also for lint and other things to escape then into the house. So a really great tip for this is you want to make sure that you get yourself some tape like this. This goes by different names: aluminum tape, metal tape, duct tape, and it's used in the proper sense as it's for ducting. So this is actually used a lot for HVAC type repairs and installs, and it's also made specifically for this install right here. So you'll want to get you a roll of this, and then when you take your new dryer vent, you're going to want to take that tape. This is 2-inch wide tape, and you're just going to want to wrap this tape all the way around your new dryer hose here. And a lot of times one wrap is enough, but two will only make it better. Then we just want to make sure that it's all making good contact with the hose. Make sure it's all stuffed down. Then you'll want to take the other side of the hose, which then gets attached to the dryer exhaust itself. And we're going to do the exact same thing. We're going to take some of this tape here and we're just going to wrap it 1 to 2 times all the way around. And then again, just make sure we press that tape down into the hose. Make sure we're making good contact all the way around. All right, so there you go. You can see my tape is going all the way around the edges of both sides. Well, there's a few reasons why we're doing this. Well, number one, it's going to add a lot of rigidity to both sides of the hose. And what that's going to allow for us to do is it's going to allow for us to make our install onto the dryer vent and then also onto the dryer exhaust on the dryer itself a lot easier. It's not going to be flimsy. Not wanting to go over those pipes with this on here makes everything a lot easier and faster. Next reason why is because this is also adding stability to the hose itself. So I showed you that hole that I had in mind. That hole came from when we do the actual install. You'll see here in a moment, we're going to need to use some hose clamps in order to clamp it to both places. But over time, like if you're moving your dryer around, or maybe you've installed this to where there's too much of vent hose back there, and when you go and push it up against the wall as much as you can, it can put strain on it, and because it is tightened down using hose clamps, it can damage the hose itself, which is exactly what you saw with that picture. So it's going to give us a really nice area to put our hose clamps around to secure this, and it's also going to protect it so that it lasts for a very long time, and in the event that this gets moved around, it is not going to tear there. So we'll first start off with installing this side to our dryer vent, but before we do that, you need to put your hose clamps on first. Otherwise, if we put that on there, you're gonna have to remove it in order to put it on. So go ahead and put the hose clamp over the dryer hose, and we want it to be down a little bit like so we can get the hose over the inlet. And so now we can take that hose, put it over the dryer vent, make sure it's wrapping all the way around the dryer vent. And I like to make sure that my hose overlaps the dryer vent by at least a couple of inches, which again is the width of the tape that we used. So that's going to be perfect. All right, so now that we've got that dry fitted on there, it's on there nice and secure. Now we want to really secure it down and pull that hose clamp up on top of it, on top of that tape that we put on the end of our hose here. And then once we've got that right there in the middle, it's over the hose, but at the same time, it's also, we know that the metal that's coming out of our dryer vent is underneath of this a good ways. Then you can either take a screwdriver, is the most basic tool you can use in order to tighten these up. Some of them will actually come with like hand cranks on them that are designed for you to be able to twist it with your fingers. So if you're able to get some of those, it can make it a lot easier. But all we need to do now is just tighten the screw. And as we tighten it, it's going to tighten down the hose clamp and secure our dryer hose to the dryer vent. And we don't want to get it on there too tight to where it starts deforming the dryer vent at all. We just want to make sure it's on there nice and tight to where this is not going to come off. So just like that. So next, then we'd want to take our other end and then attach it down to our dryer exhaust that's coming out of the dryer. But here is a very important tip that a lot of people don't know about, and it's going to save you a lot of headache, not just now, but in the future. And that comes down to when you take your dryer vent hose, the mistake a lot of people will make is they will extend this all the way out to their dryer that's pulled away from the wall. You want to extend this as little as possible. The longer you extend this out, the more is going to be in behind your dryer. And when you go to push that up against the wall, you're going to have a lot of excess hose in behind there, which can cause it to kink. It can get a hole in it from pushing up against it. It can restrict the airflow. And unfortunately for me, I don't have a whole lot of room to work with because I've got a sink over here. I can only pull my dryer out so much before I can get in here. So mine will be extended more than most people. So if you can just get your dryer pulled out just a little bit to just barely get in there and just extend this as little as possible, that's the best thing. Because I'm going to show you right now what happens when you extend this out. So if you just pull this out like this, what ends up happening is if you wanted this to retract back, it's too late. Once you've extended this all the way out, you can push it back, but it's not going to stay there. You can see how the rings are all still very tight together, and I'd actually have to pull on it to spread those out. I'm going to sacrifice this one for this video. I would not extend it this far and stretch it out like this, because now when I go to push this back up against the wall, I'm going to have a lot of excess hose that is not going to allow for me to push this back against the wall as far as I would like it to go. So what you would really want to do is you just want to pull your hose down from your dryer vent, let it lay on the ground like so, leave some back here, and just extend this bit as little as possible to where you can then connect it to the dryer. But since I've already extended this one out, let me just show you really quickly now how we attach this to the dryer. All right, so it's going to be very much the same as what we did with the dryer vent. We need to take our clamp, go ahead, put that over our hose, like so. And now we're going to attach this side of the hose to our dryer exhaust coming out of the dryer. So again, we're just going to try and fit that over our dryer exhaust. We want to make sure it is fully around the dryer exhaust. And I like to make sure that my hose is going all the way up or butting up against the dryer itself, because a lot of times that exhaust that's coming out is not very long. So once I've got it on there the way that I want it to, I'll just slide my hose clamp up like so, and then I'll just go ahead and tighten it down. Again, I don't want to get it too tight, but I want to make sure it's tight enough to where I can't twist it like this. That still means it's loose. All right, like so. So I can't really twist that from side to side. It's not pulling off of the exhaust. So we got a nice tight seal here. And you want to make sure you have a nice tight seal here. Otherwise, you're going to have all kinds of stuff blowing behind your dryer. You're going to have hot air going into the room. So make sure you have a nice tight seal on it, but not to where you're collapsing the exhaust or the dryer exhaust pipe. All right, so now we got a really nice tight connection to our dryer exhaust. And of course, it goes all the way up. And we have a nice tight and secure connection on the exhaust going up and out of the house. Now, there are two things I want to talk about with you very quickly that can make this even easier and quicker. So you remember I showed you taping up the ends of the hose to make it more rigid, to go over those openings easier, to protect it from any damage. And when that hose clamp goes on it, it also helps provide a better connection or a better seal. Well, the hose I demonstrated this on is your very standard, one of your least expensive hoses you can buy pretty much anywhere. Which, by the way, everything you see in this video, I will have links for down in the description down below from all the different materials and tools that I use and ones that I recommend. I'll have links for all of it down in the description. So when you click on those links, it'll take you directly to them so you can check them all out for yourself. But here's something else that you will definitely want to take a look at. It can help save you some time. It's actually a little bit stronger than even taping them up. And that's if you get a hose like this one here, where both ends, they've already reinforced these and made them extra thick for the very reasons that I showed you when we were talking about taping them up. Whereas most of your hoses, it's all going to be like that right there, even to the end. As you can see here, it's flat, and that's where they have reinforced them. So you wouldn't have to put the tape on it. However, that being said, me personally, I probably still would put a single wrap on it just to give it a little bit extra durability, but that would be completely up to you. But these are going to fit on your exhaust pipes a lot easier just right off the bat. And then here are those hose clamps I mentioned earlier, where you wouldn't need to use a screwdriver or a screw gun, where you can just hand tighten these down to the desired tightness that you want to get it to. So in some ways that can make it a little bit easier. It might take a little bit longer to get it fully tightened down, but this is another option that's also incredibly easy and effective to do. At this point, this is when we want to push our dryer back up against the wall. I personally like to leave enough room to where I can then, when I start this dryer up, I can put my hand at both connection points, make sure I don't have any air leaks or anything like that. And then once I've verified that, then I know that everything is installed as well as it can be. And then at that point, you know, you can start your next load of laundry and know that you're not going to have any issues. Again, I will say, as you're pushing your dryer back, you also want to make sure in behind that you're not pushing it too far and possibly kinking your hose and causing damage or restricting the airflow, as that can really affect the efficiency of your dryer and how fast it's able to dry your clothes. But like always, I'll have links for all of these along with all of the other materials and tools that you saw in this video to make this installation possible. I'll have links for everything down in the description down below. So when you click on those links, it will take you directly to whatever you clicked on so that you can check them all out for yourself. Now, really quickly, while this video is incredibly important because pretty much everybody is going to run across this at some point or another, and doing it wrong or doing it right, and some of the things we talked about in this video can really make the difference between your unit running efficiently and then therefore helping your dryer dry your clothes as quickly as possible. But I have some videos that are going to be coming out very soon, and some I've done in the past that are also incredibly important. They can mean the difference between making your unit even more efficient. They will also go over some installs that a lot of people don't know about, things that are out there, upgrades you can do to your unit that are not only going to make it more efficient, but also make it safer. And then I also have videos that will help to make sure your unit does not turn into, or probably is already, a giant fire hazard and how to take care of that. So these are all very important topics that every homeowner should know about, and I will post links to those videos right over here. Whichever ones interest you the most, all you have to do is click on those videos and it will take you directly to it. But like always, I hope that you found value in this video, and if you did, if you could do me a huge favor, hit that thumbs up button right down below. And of course, if you have any questions or comments still, you can leave those down in the comment section. And I'll catch you all in the next one.